Title: They created resistance. They created resistance. They built walls in your path, scattered thorns across your journey, and whispered doubts into the quiet corners of your mind, believing, truly believing, that you would stop, that you would hesitate, that you would break. But tell me, did they really understand who they were dealing with? Because what they saw was a moment, a snapshot of you, tired, uncertain, human. But what they didn't see was the storm forming beneath, your silence. They thought resistance would end you. They didn't realize resistance was about to define you. They expected you to fold. They expected you to crumble under pressure, to sink beneath the weight they placed on your shoulders. Every obstacle, every betrayal, every closed door wasn't random. No, it was deliberate, designed, engineered to exhaust you. They'll quit eventually, they said. They watched you stumble, they watched you fall, and in those moments, they smiled, quietly convinced that they had already won, because in their minds, struggle meant weakness, pain meant defeat, resistance meant the end. But here's where they miscalculated. You didn't stop. Even when your legs shook, you kept moving. Even when your voice trembled, you kept speaking. Even when your heart broke, you kept believing. They saw the cracks, but they didn't see the foundation beneath that. And that foundation, it was something they could never understand. Because while they expected resistance to destroy you, you used it to discover yourself. At first, it was chaos. Your world felt like it was collapsing, piece by piece, moment by moment. Nothing made sense. Every step forward felt like sinking deeper into quicksand. Every breath carried the weight of doubt. You questioned everything. Why me? Why this? How much more? And in those quiet moments, when the noise faded and the darkness crept in, you felt it. That heavy, suffocating feeling that maybe, just maybe, they were right. Maybe you weren't strong enough. Maybe you weren't meant for this. Maybe resistance was your limit. But then something shifted. Not loudly, not dramatically, quietly, like a spark in the dark. You realized something they never expected you to realize. That resistance wasn't your enemy, it was your teacher. Every obstacle became a lesson. Every failure became feedback. Every moment of pain became proof that you were still in the fight. And slowly, you began to change. You adapted. You learned how to move through the storm instead of running from it. You learned how to stand in the fire without letting it consume you. You learned how to breathe. Even when the air felt heavy, resistance didn't weaken you, it sharpened you. Like steel forged in flames, you became stronger with every challenge. Harder, wiser, unshakable. They threw pressure at you, and you became resilient. They threw doubt at you, and you became certain. They threw fear at you, and you became fearless. And the most dangerous part? You stopped asking for permission. You stopped waiting for validation. You stopped needing them. Because somewhere along the way, you realized that the very thing they used to hold you back was the exact thing pushing you forward. And that's when they started to notice. At first, it confused them. You weren't reacting the same way anymore. You weren't breaking under pressure. You weren't retreating when things got hard. You were calm, focused, unbothed. And that terrified them. Because resistance was supposed to control you. So why weren't you controlled? Why weren't you afraid? Why weren't you stopping? Did they really think you'd stay the same? Did they really believe that you would remain the person they tried to break? No, because something inside you had awakened. Something powerful, something unstoppable. Now the same obstacles that once slowed you down became your training ground. Every setback became preparation. Every rejection became redirection. Every closed door became proof that a better one was waiting. You stopped seeing resistance as a wall and started seeing it as a path that only the strong could walk. And with every step, you grew, not just stronger, but deeper. More aware, more disciplined, more dangerous in the best possible way, because now you weren't just surviving, you were evolving. They began to panic. Because the script had changed. You were no longer the person they could predict. You were no longer the person they could manipulate. You had become something else entirely. Something they couldn't control. And control was all they ever wanted. They whispered louder now. They tried harder. They pushed more resistance your way, bigger obstacles, harsher words, deeper challenges. But here's what they didn't understand. The more resistance they created, the stronger you became. It was a cycle they couldn't break, because every move they made to stop you only fueled your growth. Think about it. Every storm you survived made you weatherproof. Every battle you fought made you battle ready. Every moment you thought you couldn't go on, and then did anyway, built something inside you that cannot be taken away. That's the power of resistance. It doesn't destroy you. It reveals you. And what it revealed in you was something extraordinary. Now you walk differently. There's a quiet confidence in your steps, a calm fire in your eyes, a presence that doesn't need to shout, but cannot be ignored. You don't chase approval anymore. You don't beg for recognition. You don't need their validation, because you've seen what you can survive. You felt your own strength, and once you experience that, there's no going back. They look at you now, and they don't understand. How did you get here? When did you change? Why didn't you break? And the answer? Because they created resistance, and resistance created you. You became the storm they couldn't stop. You became the fire they couldn't extinguish. You became the force they never saw coming. And the most beautiful part? You didn't need revenge. You didn't need to prove anything, because your growth, your peace, your power, that was the answer. You see, the ultimate transformation isn't loud. It's quiet. It's the moment you stop reacting, the moment you stop chasing, the moment you realize you've already won. Because while they're still trying to control outcomes, you've mastered yourself. While they're still stuck in fear, you've moved beyond it. While they're still creating resistance, you've learned to use it. So now, when obstacles appear, you don't panic. You don't doubt. You don't retreat. Smile, because you understand something they never will. That resistance is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of your transformation. And here you are. Stronger. Wiser. Unshakable. Not because life was easy, but because it wasn't. Not because they supported you, but because they didn't. Not because the path was clear, but because you walked it anyway. They created resistance, but you created power. They created obstacles, but you created growth. They created barriers, but you became unstoppable. So the next time resistance shows up, the next time the world feels heavy, the next time doubt tries to creep in, remember this. You've been here before. You've faced this before, and every single time you rose. You are not the person they tried to break. You are the person who survived it. Who learned from it. Who transformed because of it. And now, nothing can stop you, because resistance doesn't scare you anymore. It builds you. It sharpens you. It prepares you. They created resistance, but they also created something far more powerful. You.